Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Rust Belt Football Show and our Buffalo Bills recap. I am super stoked for this one, as you all, I'm sure, are as well. So, without further ado, Alex, how's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you, Bryce?
I'm doing well. It just feels weird because we've barely talked for like a week,
I
and that
know.
never happens. And I mean, we've talked a little bit with free agency and stuff, but yeah, it just feels good to be talking to you again, you know?
Yeah, and man, how crazy has the news been of free agency?
Absolutely
Like
nuts.
we covered some of the crazy news, and then it got even crazier even after our last video. So we'll have to get back to that
Yes,
pretty soon.
we will have to revisit that whole Max Crosby situation because my thoughts
Yeah,
on that whole thing are very strong, as I'm sure comes to a surprise to nobody. But
yeah,
yeah, that we're gonna have to talk about that later. Absolutely.
yeah. All right. Shall
So
we? Yeah,
yeah, just get lay it on us now. People that have been watching for a little bit or that know you're a relatively new football fan.
yeah, yeah.
So
Uh,
walk me through how you got to start being a football fan and how you ended up just diving absolutely head first, like you have.
yeah. It's kind of funny, eh? So I started watching football back in 2024. That's how recently I started watching football. Before that, I don't think I'd ever watched a full football game in my life before that. So I'm very new to the sport. However, one day Bryce decided he was going to make a guy that had no interest whatsoever and who never watched a full football game in his life, a hardcore football fan. Um, he also attempted to make me a Bears fan. So he succeeded on one of those fronts.
We went 1 for 2. I'll take 1 for 2.
He didn't quite succeed on the other front, though. You could probably blame that on Matt Eberflus,
Yes, I unequivocally do, and I don't think I'll ever forgive him for that.
because that is when I started watching football. Was during the Matt Eberflus season and firing Chicago, and yeah, that was not a great year for you guys. And then obviously this year 180 difference, but that's where I started. So when I started watching football, there was one team that I immediately began to gravitate towards, and one player, and that was of course Josh Allen. In last year's, so that like that first year that I was watching, MVP winning season, Josh Allen consistently showed that he was one of the best players in the NFL. He was electric on the field, throwing crazy passes, making great run plays, dodging out of tackles like no one else. He was just so much fun to watch on the football field, and he really, because when you first get into football, maybe this isn't everybody, but for me, I was already really interested in the quarterback position. So then watching someone play the quarterback position at a top tier level was really interesting to me. Uh, and I got to witness this MVP season as my first ever season. So that for me was like, there's always going to be a special place in my heart for Josh Allen and for Buffalo because of that, him getting that feat as I was watching for that very first year, and specifically like the second half of the year. Um, and Josh also turned out to be a fun and kind personality off the field as well. He was involved in philanthropic pursuits and acting as the spokesperson for like the Buffalo Children's Hospital. And he was always demonstrating kindness and humor in the media and off the field and stuff. So, those are reasons why I kind of just gravitated towards him. Like in addition to Josh becoming quickly my favorite player, I drifted towards the Buffalo Bills as my team choice for several reasons. The first one was that I am Canadian, and I wanted to pick a team close to home, a team that I could potentially go visit. Right, so like somewhere I could go travel, go watch a game, was for me a big reason. And then there was one thing that pushed me really over the edge was that one of my professors in university was a diehard Bills fan, and he was my favorite professor. This is my teaching program, and he begin every like lesson and end every lesson with "Go Bills" for some reason. This is just, yeah. So I had yeah. I don't know if I ever actually told you that.
So just no, you didn't. So to
Yeah,
summarize, Alex became a Bills fan because he wanted to cheat and get a better grade. That's what I'm hearing.
yeah, and it
It was a
worked.
plan to manipulate your professor. Okay,
Yeah,
I see.
yeah. Shout out Doc Fonts. Really cool guy. So that's basically how I ended up as a Buffalo Bills fan. But the ups and downs of this past season really only helped to strengthen my commitment to this franchise. So yeah, that's kind of how I became a Bills fan. I don't know if you have any thoughts or wanted to chime in on any of that before I moved on to
Yeah,
next couple of years.
it's just very illuminating, just about your personality. That
Yeah,
it really boils down to you trying to manipulate your professor for a better grade. Did it work at least?
yeah, I did very well in that class.
Okay, coincidentally, I see. Yeah, it definitely had nothing to do with that at all. But
Yeah,
yeah, just in general, why do you think? And this isn't specific to you. This is more of a general, new fans in general.
yeah.
Other than the fact that it's kind of central to the way the game is played, do you think that there is a disproportionate amount of focus on the quarterback because of that flash?
Well, it's that's a good question, I think, because I think probably that is like a pitfall of a new player is placing such a high level of importance on the quarterback potentially. And what I mean by that is that not necessarily considering how important all the other positions are, but sort of really focusing in on the quarterback being the one and only position on the field. I think that could be probably a pitfall for new football fans, and certainly I've probably fallen into that a couple of times. But as I've learned this season, without those other positions and those other building blocks around you, even if you have a top tier quarterback, I think number one, but you'd even probably agree with me, a top 3 quarterback or a top 5 quarterback.
Top 5 easily.
Yeah, you still need those other positions. So, yeah, I think that maybe new players do put a huge emphasis on the quarterback, but the quarterback is the most important position on the field. They start the plays. I don't think that would be met with too much scrutiny saying that they're the most important, but there's more to football than just the quarterback. But that's how people get into teams, and I think and get into the sport is through that position initially first.
For sure. And I say that partially as a segue because one of my favorite things, and I'm getting to see this firsthand with you, because I went through this a long time ago. See, I've been playing football for most of my life. And so I went through understanding these like little intricacies about all these different positions because I played when people ask me what position I played, I like to say defense because I played pretty much everywhere on the defense except for the interior defensive line. But for obvious reasons, anyone that's seen me can attest to why. But in general, it's so cool seeing people get like drawn in by the quarterback, by the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomeses, the Lamar Jacksons, the Caleb Williamses, the right like these guys that can do these crazy superhuman things. But then as you start to watch it, you start to go, "Oh wow!" Like that lineman opened up a huge hole, or "Oh wow, that running back was so like watching you at the Super Bowl when Kenneth Walker was running like Le'Veon Bell." And for me to do the Leo meme, like that's Le'Veon Bell, and you look at me like, who? And I was able to kind of teach you, and you're like, you're right, that's the exact same. And like seeing these, like this growing understanding is just so cool. And then it's the most fun part about football, I think, is learning to understand the difference between a gap scheme, a zone scheme, and all this different stuff.
For sure, throughout my journey of watching football, every month I knew like twice as much as the last month of watching football, for sure.
Yeah, it's an absolute blast.
So, shall we take a look at the last couple years for Buffalo? What those have looked like. So, I think you can look back to 2017 to get an idea of where the modern Buffalo Bills team began to emerge. This was the year that Sean McDermott was hired to save a franchise that had seen very little success throughout the prior decade. Obviously now that has that tenure has come to an end, but really that's where the modern Bills start, is with Sean McDermott being hired in 2017. Right away, McDermott helped the Bills improve their record, and he went 9-7 in the first season. So not anything crazy, but the season before that was 7-9, so already in a bit of an improvement. On top of that, he brought them to the playoffs that year, and that ended a 17-year playoff drought for the team. So already Sean McDermott coming make Buffalo a better place. And then, of course, one of the big first moves was then in 2018 draft, where they acquired Josh Allen, the quarterback from Wyoming, with the 7th overall pick in the draft. So that really starts to set up what Buffalo is going to look like and how we get to where we are now. Josh Allen obviously very quickly turned out to be the franchise quarterback for Buffalo.
I'll push back on that a little bit. I don't think it was quickly. I think his first year and a half was rough. It was rough.
I mean, I've looked into this a little bit, and I think that nobody doubted that Josh Allen was going to become the franchise quarterback. He had some growing pains for sure, and well, because everybody could see his potential. They could see that he was just so like a superhuman, Anakim, as we joke around and say, like he is got just such crazy arm strength. He can run the ball, right? So we knew, I think, that he had so much potential, but there was growing pains the first couple of years. I'm not going to pretend they were amazing seasons for him or anything.
So people talk about Josh Allen, and when they talk about his career, they talk about that third year jump, because until he got Stephon Diggs, he was a wild horse. Right? Like that's the best way to put it. He was a wild horse. He would have some of the craziest, like he could launch the ball 70 yards in the air. Yeah. But then also that 70 yards in the air might be 10 yards off target. Right? Like sure, like sure. Everyone saw the potential, but there was some serious questions being asked about whether he was actually going to be able to beat the guy.
Do you think though that those questions or the scrutiny is the same level that we're seeing from like someone like JJ McCarthy?
No, because JJ McCarthy doesn't have the upside either.
That's what I'm saying, is I never got the sense that he was being treated like a JJ McCarthy. I get the sense that he had these growing pains, but people still believed in him and still thought he had a lot of potential.
It was more like the Anthony Richardson discussion than the JJ McCarthy discussion.
Okay.
Because Anthony Richardson has all the tools in the world. He just hasn't been able to put it together. So I would put it much more akin to the questions that we were asking about Anthony Richardson going into year 2 than JJ McCarthy going into year 2. Just not to the same degree, because, I mean, Anthony Richardson can't hit the broadside of a barn. We knew at that point that Josh Allen could do that. It was just whether he's going to be able to do that consistently or not.
Sure. We have those first couple of years, and obviously nothing spectacular is happening in those first couple of years of Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. It takes about 3 years or so to get going, but then we hit a really great stride of time from probably like 2021 or so, 2020, 2021 until present year, where we're aided by, of course, I should mention some of the players that, we've got going on through this time. On top of Josh, we've got Tre'Davious White, we've got Matt Milano, those earlier.
Matt Milano, man.
Yeah.
So good.
Those early Sean McDermott years, those were some key players. More recently, of course, we have Dalton Kincaid and James Cook, who have been added over the last couple of years. I think James Cook's in his 4th year and Dalton Kincaid is in his 3rd year. So again, some newer recruits. They've been around for Buffalo for a little while now, but again, they're all under this McDermott era. And Josh Allen era at the quarterback. And so with these players and under Sean McDermott's leadership, from 2017 till now, 2025, the Buffalo Bills end up seeing 7 of the 8 playoffs in that time. Is just to get an idea of what this era is already way better than the last couple decades because of the fact that we had a 17-year playoff drought and now we've made 7 of the 8 during that period. So some very impressive feats to be sure. But I'll note, of course, not one of these playoff appearances has led to Buffalo competing in a Super Bowl.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing because it is deeply. It's not even ironic. It's just kind of unfortunate, to be honest. Yeah. Just the fact that there's a Bills fan that's like, man, we're so much different than years past. We've gone to the playoffs for 7 years. This is the same team that went to 4 Super Bowls in a row and couldn't win one. So that's just deeply, deeply funny.
And I'll note, of course, we haven't actually competed in a Super Bowl in any of those 7 playoff appearances yet, which, it's tough. And so, I mean, and that, that is the Sean McDermott tenure is Buffalo looking like a great team. Well, not it's tough at times. A really good team, maybe not quite great. That's the Sean McDermott era. That's the last couple years that we've had is really, really good, but not great, and making those playoffs, but which is something we hadn't had so much trouble with for so long. That's what the last couple years have looked like. So if you have anything to add to that, or I can move on to this year and my experience as a Bills fan this year.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is just going back to the 2021 being that first year that things started to materialize. It's kind of what we were saying before. Like that is the year that Josh Allen started to show that he can be the guy, and it was the year that they traded for Stephon Diggs, right? And that's how you unlock these guys. That's what the Bears are trying to do with Justin Fields and the trade for DJ Moore. And ironically enough, in a weird kind of circular way, it's what the Bills are sort of trying to do with Josh Allen again by trading for DJ Moore. But it just goes to show how integral having that piece is to your success as a team, because you can't move on in your team building until you know you have the guy.
Yes.
So that's exactly what that is a prime example of.
Yeah, and so we're very fortunate right now as Buffalo that we have our guy in Josh Allen, and so now that allows us to safely work on the other positions since we have that. A lot of teams don't have that, especially in this offseason. There's a lot of questions about who's going to be the starting quarterback for a lot of teams right now. A lot of quarterbacks getting cut, a lot getting traded. We just saw the Kyler Murray going to the Vikings. So
for the record, not phased.
What's that?
For the record, I'm not phased.
No, because that'll be
not worried.
That'll be an interesting.
It'll be interesting. Not worried.
No, you think JJ starts again this year?
No, I think Kyler starts. I think Kyler's definitively better than JJ. Mm-hmm. I suspect because Minnesota's going to be in cap hell for a while, so I have no reason to think they're going to be able to throw enough money at Kyler to keep him around. There's so many quarterback needy teams every year. Someone's going to throw more money than they're willing to pay, like the Seahawks did with Sam Darnold, and it's going to be really funny to watch it happen again.
Yeah, so it's always interesting the quarterback shuffle that happens, and so I'm just so grateful that we don't have that problem. We have many others, but that's not one of them. So fast forward to some of the storylines this season. The Bills had a really strong start to the season. I felt amazing in the first 4 weeks. From game one, we had some incredibly exciting plays from Buffalo's offense. The Bills started off on the back foot of that very first game, of course, against the Baltimore Ravens. But by the fourth quarter, the team was 16 points behind the Baltimore Ravens. But then everything changed in like the last 5 minutes of the
It's
game.
crazy.
That was a crazy first game to start off the season. As Josh Allen just led the team down the field, drove them down the field, making every right play possible. We had him throwing, the ball out of bounds, like just expert clock management on those couple of drives in that last 5 minutes. Consistently getting the ball out of bounds. In the end, Buffalo won the game with a Matt Prater field goal.
Your goat.
Yeah, and from there, Buffalo ends up going and starting the season 4-0. Them and Philadelphia were the only teams to do that at that point. And Philadelphia lost, I think, but they lost before Buffalo in week 5. So for a little bit there,
very brief period of time.
For a very brief period of time, Buffalo was the last team standing that hadn't had a loss. So a great first couple of games for Buffalo, and I was starting to think, I think Buffalo's going to go to the Super Bowl this year. In those first couple of games, and then it was in this 11th season under the ownership of the Pagulas, under the coaching of Sean McDermott, under the offense led by Josh Allen. I figured it would be the year that they got their Super Bowl. And then we hit week 5, and that is against the New England Patriots. And this is where we started to really see some problems going on in Buffalo.
And Drake May's coming out party too, for sure.
Yes, for sure. So this is where I started to have some concerns, and you and I started to talk about this all the way through like the middle of the season. The team showed signs that it was struggling in some key areas here, and in over these next couple games. But like leading up to this game, there weren't blatant, but then against New England, our boys in red and blue struggled on defense quite a bit. We had a lot of problems on defense. Even after we had spent a lot of our draft capital attempting to strengthen the defense. In the first round of the draft, we drafted Maxwell Hairston as cornerback. We then drafted defensive tackle TJ Sanders in the second round. After that, 4 of the next 7 picks, they sought to address our defensive woes. So like we were like really making sure that our defense was improved this year, and I'm not really sure that we did what we set to accomplish there with those draft picks. I think that was it better than last year? I don't know, maybe not really. I don't think.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
Yeah, I just the whole thing with the draft. It's not necessarily that you're always going to get better.
Yeah.
But you're always supposed to get younger, faster, and more athletic. In theory, right? Like sometimes you'll have outliers that you draft that are older prospects that are less athletic prospects and more just pure football guys. That's true. But generally, you want to come out of the draft hopefully better. But there's a real chance that you just come out younger, more athletic, and that you can get just if you get 40% of your snaps on defense over the year that have these players on the field flashing, showing you something, then you're happy. I just don't know that the Bills got that, and they didn't get better. It's hard to tell. It's hard to say.
I think, well, if you just go by, end of the season score, the Bills did worse this year. But again, there's so many factors that go into that isn't always the best indicator of whether they did better or worse this year. But I didn't feel great about the defense. We had a lot of games that I felt like we lost because of our defense. I think one of the prime examples was then the following game. This was the Atlanta Falcons game, and that game felt winnable. It was the Falcons. We shouldn't have lost that. I don't think that they were a standout team this year. They had their ups and downs, but I think our defense really struggled against that
they
team.
Were a team that was in contention for the NFC South, and I think we can just leave it at that.
Yep. So again, and then we have a couple other losses throughout the season too after that. But those 2 in a row, week 5, week 6, where I started to go, oh man, okay, we actually have some problems here. And so the next couple of victories were solid, but nothing stand out. The next real standout victory that we have is our rematch way later on in the season against New England, where again we were losing like Baltimore. We were losing that game, but then we had an excellent. It was really kind of the second half of the game rather than just that pure like last 5-minute fourth quarter with like Baltimore. So it was a bit more of a second half comeback. But man, did we pull it together and have just such a great end to that game. So we have shown that we can pull it together and beat some strong teams, because I think New England, for all the criticism of it being a young team, of it having an easy schedule, I think they were a good team. I mean, they made it to the Super Bowl, so I think that was a well-earned victory. Yeah. So now I'll sort of jump into the shortcomings that we had, other than the defense, of course. We've already kind of talked about that. I'll talk about some more of the shortcomings. And me and you had many conversations about this where we just like go on for like an hour or whatever, whenever we were done whatever event or whatever we were doing. Just we'd stand outside talking about football stuff. And this is one of the things that I just was always on about, like, man, I wish we could fix these things. So throughout, our losses this season, some of the consistent shortcomings was the defense's ability to stop the ball, a lack of strong wide receiver options for Josh to throw to. That was a huge weakness we had. This was a tough one because there were so many painful passes this year where there is like I felt like Josh threw a pretty good pass and it could have been caught, and we just didn't have that truly elite wide receiver one type out there. We didn't have a Jefferson, we didn't have like a St. Brown, we didn't have a JSN, somebody that could just get those passes. And I think that having someone like that, we would have won some of those games that were close. And so there was some painful missed passes there because we didn't have any elite wide receivers out there.
I don't think you need elite. I think you'd settle for very good.
Yeah, we just didn't. Yeah, we didn't have anyone even. Yeah, very good. We just had a very mediocre wide receiver room.
I don't even know if I would say mediocre.
Well, because I thought, like, for example, Khalil Shakir is a fine wide receiver. I don't think he's a bad wide receiver. I
think he's reliable.
Yeah.
I don't think I would go any further than reliable, though.
Sure. And that was really the best we had in our wide receiver room.
And you want reliable as your wide receiver 3. You want that to be the guy that you plug in as either your other boundary receiver or your slot guy if you have 2 boundary guys. So, yeah. Like you'd settle for Kayshon Boutte at this point.
Mm-hmm. So that was tough because we had our defensive woes, but we also had this huge glaring offensive woe as well. The other like big struggle we had is when an enemy team figured out how to stop James Cook, that would just devastate us. Like James Cook was our biggest weapon on the offense, basically, like other than Josh Allen, because we didn't have any wide receivers. So James Cook ended up being our go-to option for a lot of our games. We just give him the ball, give him the ball, give him the ball, give him the ball. And he would just run and run and run and get us touchdowns and win us games. But when a team figured out how to stop James Cook, we couldn't get any points in those games. And then again, with in tandem with our defense not always coming through, those games were just tough. And those were tough losses because that when they stopped James Cook, it was over. You knew, like, oh, we're gonna lose this game. They figured out how to stop him, and our defense can't stop them. So I see the end in sight, and
Right.
so those are big big shortcomings this year, I thought.
That's an interesting schematic point too, because when you have a bad defense, the best way to mitigate that weakness is to control the clock.
Yeah.
You control the clock by running the football.
Yes.
Running the football successfully.
Yeah.
When you can do that successfully, it's great. Right? You're getting 4 yards a clip, you're moving the chains, you're chewing up the clock, keeping your defense off the field, exhausting their defense while you're at it. But then if you run into a situation where they're able to stop the run and you can't throw the ball, well, then you're stuck. So then the emergence of 12 personnel and 13 personnel in the modern age, for those of you who don't know, 12 and 13 personnel, anytime you hear number like a 2-digit number of personnel, that just means the first number is how many running backs are on the field, and the second number is how many tight ends are on the field. So 12 personnel is 1 running back and 2 tight ends on the field. 13 is 1 running back, 3 tight ends on the field. That became a huge trend in the NFL this year, and I think due to no small part to Ben Johnson and how he utilized guys like Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet. But that emergence was huge for the Bills because they were able to go into heavy sets that are usually running formations and then pass out of it to their 2 most reliable targets.
Yep.
This year and their tight end. So I just think it's a very interesting schematic perspective on how like you have bad defense, so you run the ball. If you can't run the ball, you have to throw the ball. You can't just receivers, you have to throw the ball to your tight ends who are only good players. But it's hard to get both tight ends on the field at the same time. So what do? You go ahead and you do it anyways. You put them both on the field anyways and run and pass out of it. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. And I'll get into the tight ends in a second here too, because now I'm gonna discuss some of the like things, the areas we excelled in.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say
this season.
there.
Yeah, no, and that's gonna be, and that's a big part of it for us was like some of the areas we excelled in here were again those late game comebacks. That was those were always so fun to watch. Buffalo never gave up. It felt like there's a lot of teams, I think, in the NFL that can get tilted and kind of give up and give into that defeat mentality, and the game's over. Once they start losing, they can't come back from that. There are teams other than Buffalo that are like this, of course. But Buffalo is one of those teams this year that it felt like they never gave up till the very last minute, like 30 seconds of the game. They would stay in it and give their full energy, if they trying to get that win. And it worked a couple times. It worked against Baltimore. It worked against New England, right? And so I think one of the greatest strengths that Josh Allen has as a quarterback is his ability to rally the team around him and to give them that confidence and to really, keep that morale high, which I don't think every team has that ability or has a guy like that that's keeping that morale high and keeping those players working their hardest even when they're losing and even if it doesn't look like they can win. So I think that's the strength of Buffalo. Another strength of Buffalo was their tight end development. We previously had Dalton Kincaid doing pretty well last year. Well, he had a bit of a sophomore slump, so maybe I wouldn't say like exceptional last year. So this year, he did really well when he was on the field because he did have some injuries this year and he was off the field for it a decent chunk of games. But when he was playing, he played very well. When he was off, though, we then had the opportunity to see what Dawson Knox could do, and he really turned out to be an exceptional tight end this year. I thought him and Josh Allen had some great chemistry, and I think that he had some great touchdowns this year. A couple back-to-back touchdowns in some of those late games this year. So those tight ends really became Josh's number one receiving options. And so they bring out a bunch of the tight ends on Buffalo all at the same time. And then can't get them all, so can't cover them all, and that was one of the ways that they really kind of tried to get around their wide receiver problem. I think was really utilizing those tight ends, and I think they utilized them effectively. Again, it's much better when you have the wide receivers and tight end options, so then you can really have a strong passing game. But we did at least have that strength in our tight ends. And yeah, Dawson Knox, he saw increase in snap time, and I really felt like he was becoming a tight end 1 level talent.
I like him. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I don't know that he's. I thought he was getting there, and so
he's a strong tight end too.
But to just have both him and Dalton Kincaid on our team, really sweet. And then lastly, I would be remiss if I did not mention James Cook. This was, I think, James Cook's best season of football so far.
Oh, yeah, career year for sure.
He ran for over 1,600 yards this year, and was arguably one of the best running backs in the league this year, without a doubt. He was that it factor for so many of our games. If the enemy team could stop him, we lost the game. If they couldn't, and he was just able to run right through them, we won. And so he was just such an important part of our offense this year. So that, I would say, again, Josh Allen just doing Josh Allen stuff also happened a lot this year. Him making some crazy run plays. He had
to a fault.
What was it? Didn't he? Was this year he got 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in one game, and making him the second ever to do that, to the first one being himself. So pretty crazy feats there from Josh Allen. So those, I think, were our main strengths this year. Josh Allen, James Cook, our tight ends.
Yeah, the tight ends are really interesting because this is before your time, ironically enough, because this is only a few years ago. But I have a friend. Actually, I should have got my guy James on here. But I have a friend that's a big Bills fan, and this is the year before the Dalton Kincaid draft pick, and we were talking, and we were both kind of like, "Hey, this Dawson Knox guy, like, he was showing some serious flashes," and both of us thought that he was going to be their guy, and that they were happy having Dawson Knox because he can block as well as catch passes. Maybe he's not, top tier, top echelon in either of them, but he's very, very good at both. And so we thought they were going to be very happy with that. And then they turn around and draft Dalton Kincaid immediately after. And it's kind of funny because I liked Dalton Kincaid a lot coming out. I'm kind of a sucker for that, uber athletic tight end type. The Kenyon Sadiqs, the Terrence Fergusons, the who's the guy on the Seahawks? Where he wears a
Barner.
No, not AJ Barner. The rookie. Hold on, this is gonna bug me. I keep having Helani stuck in my head, but that's definitely not it. Elijah Arroyo. That's what I'm thinking. Okay. Elijah Arroyo. Like, I'm a sucker for those kinds of guys, and that's exactly what Dalton Kincaid was coming out. And I thought, that's my kind of tight end. And he just hasn't been able to live up to the billing, unfortunately. And like, I have hope still, but it's starting to dwindle. And I wouldn't be surprised at this point if they went out and tried to go get another tight end in the draft. They haven't done it in free agency, obviously, but it's very interesting to see how that has kind of gone, because I say it all the time to you guys, like, the best ability is availability, right? And so if you can't stay on the field, you're not helping your team. And so that's my worry with Kincaid, is that he's not going to be able to stay healthy. He hasn't been able to stay healthy thus far in his career. Mm-hmm. So that's a genuine concern going forward.
That's fair enough. Yeah. And at least we've had Dawson Knox not show that so far.
True, 100%.
He's been pretty sturdy, so that's nice to have, that we at least have that as our always around. But yeah, no, it's definitely a concern for sure, because he's on the field, he's pretty awesome. But then we lost him for quite a few games this year. I think he got injured twice this season. So yeah, definitely a bit of a concern there.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at Dawson Knox. He's missed games on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different occasions.
Okay.
But the most recent was in 2023.
What? Yeah.
Right. So not super concerned. And it's a game here. He had a concussion in 2020. Like some strains. He's actually fractured his wrist twice, which is interesting, and missed 2 games the first time in 2021, then 5 games in 2023. But in general, like he misses a game here or there. He's only missed multiple games 3 times and only missed more than 2 games in a row once. So he's not a guy that you're worried about. Don Kincaid, on the other hand, I'm actually curious to see what his numbers look like.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Oh boy.
This website that I cannot advocate for the validity or accuracy of any of these statistics. It has chance of injury in 2026 is up at 77%.
Wow.
Not great.
Well, that'll be something to look out for.
Yeah, it's not great. But yeah, in general, like it's impossible to project injury, right? So to sit here and pretend that like some website saying he has a 77% chance to get injured next year, that means nothing at the end of the day. Like everyone gets hurt in football. It happens. It's not a matter of if, it's when and for how long, right? So I digress a little bit there, but that's just an interesting thing.
All right. So I think maybe I will give kind of my concluding thoughts on the season, and then you can feel free to ask me some questions. We can talk a little bit more about this.
Absolutely.
So I think that this season really showed that Buffalo is, in my estimation, a great team, one of the best in the NFL. But year after year, again and again, they cannot find a way to the Super Bowl. And they have struggled to go from a great team to Super Bowl winners. So something needs to change in Buffalo. Again, touching on McDermott. Did McDermott have to go for this to happen? I don't know. I can't say for certain. I think maybe. But while we have Josh Allen as our quarterback, we need to make some big moves to get us over this final hurdle, because we're not gonna, like, he's not gonna live to be 100 years playing in this NFL. He's time is limited for every player, and while we have this window, we need to make these big moves to get us over this hurdle and to get us that Super Bowl. I think it's time for the Bills to have their own dynasty, like New England had, like the Chiefs been having these last couple of years. I want that Buffalo dynasty. Obviously, I want that, but that's and so I'm willing to give this new coaching staff a shot and to let them do their thing, because we need to do something differently for that to happen. And that's where I'm at today.
That's totally valid. And just my follow-up to that is, did the Bills underperform your expectations this year?
Did they? Yes, they did. I think that when we went into the first couple of weeks there, like I said, I think these Bills are going to the Super Bowl the way they looked. And then we had some ups and downs throughout the season where that wasn't certain. But man, especially in we hit the playoffs. We go to the second round of the playoffs and then we lose to Denver. That was a winnable game. Even take the whole penalty situation right out of it. That was a winnable game. We went in overtime. We could have won that. That was a disappointment. Had we made it to the third round, then we're facing New England. We probably beat them again because we'd done it a couple weeks prior, and I think then the Bills would have been in the Super Bowl. So 100%, this season was disappointing. We made it further last year too. We had a better season-ending record. We made it to the third round, lost to the Chiefs, and the Chiefs were a really strong team last year. So yeah, 100%. I was disappointed this year. They underperformed my expectations, I thought.
So what do you like? Because I'm curious what your reaction is to how I felt about it. Because to me, if I'm being perfectly honest, I thought they performed exactly like I thought they would.
Okay, fair enough.
Like if you had asked me at the beginning of the year, how will the Bill season go? I would have said probably have a really good regular season, a couple disappointing losses. There'll be some weaknesses that really stand out, but everyone kind of hopes that they go away. And then in the second round of the playoffs, they play them out in spectacular fashion. That's what I would have thought there would have been Patrick Mahomes in the second round, taking it to them again, which obviously isn't what happened. But the general outcome is exactly probably what I would have guessed going into it.
Well, I probably had more hopium than you because this is my team. So yeah, no, I think you're obviously right on how it ended. You had a better prediction than I did, but I'd say I'm disappointed with the outcome, and I thought they would have done better. But again, maybe that's a little bit of hopium on my part.
Yeah, I'm just curious because I'm always curious because when I look at all of these teams, I try and be objective, but I don't hide that I'm not actually objective all the time. Okay, guys, I hate the Green Bay Packers with a burning passion, and that will always color my takes. It just will, and that's just how it's going to go, and you kind of have to deal with it. Anyways, yeah, I was just curious because when I was thinking about it, I was like, try to think of these questions like, did they actually underperform my expectations? No. Like the expectation for Bills fans is obviously they make the playoffs. The expectation for Bills haters is that they're going to miss the playoffs and be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I was surprised that they lost to Denver specifically. But just with the way that they lost, is there a tiny inkling of doubt in your mind about whether or not Josh can get things done in the biggest games?
No.
Like not even the tiniest little thing?
Well, tiniest, sure, because every great quarterback's going to have off games. I'm not worried that he is not the guy to win us a Super Bowl. I'm not worried about that. I think time and time again he has shown to have that clutch factor, and winning us some really close games against tough teams, and even bringing those comebacks. So, no, I think if we can,
I thought I could bait you into a clip there.
I think if we can equip Josh with some elite wide receiver.
You did.
That is
you literally already did that.
That is our path to a Super Bowl. So yeah, DJ Moore, will he be that guy?
Yes,
I'm hoping so. I'm certainly hoping so because.
Well, you hate DJ Moore. You think he's a scrub. You think he's a bum. So.
Well, I made it clear that
You think he's awful.
I wanted to see something else done, even like because there wasn't a lot of options as we discussed, but I don't know, maybe even like Buffalo trying to get someone like Mike Evans, I would have been a little bit happier with, but
you have him for 10 weeks of the season. You're gambling whether or not one of those 10 weeks is going to be the playoffs.
Well, we'll just bench him for the first few games then.
Bench him for the first 10 games that he's guaranteed to be there.
Bring him out when we need him. I don't know. So I'm hoping DJ Moore is that guy.
He is.
Don't get me wrong.
I'm telling you that he is.
And so if he is, then amazing. We have made a really great move here in this offseason because it's a good move in some way regardless because we had nothing before.
Something is indeed better than nothing.
That's right. Could have been better. I think so. You disagree, but I think we can both agree. It's better than nothing.
You told me something off camera that I wish you had told me on camera just because of how absurd it is.
Yeah.
I want everyone to look me in the eyes. This man said he would rather have Alec Pierce than DJ Moore.
Yeah.
He said it's not even like a cost thing. It's not a cost thing because Alec Pierce costed more than DJ Moore. That's absurd. I love Alec Pierce. He's one of my favorite players coming out of his draft class. I stashed him in Dynasty for years. I like Alec Pierce a lot. He is not better than DJ Moore. Had to get that off my chest.
Fair enough.
Would you rather? I want you to be honest with the people. Would you rather have paid the $30 million a year for Alec Pierce than trade a second-round pick for DJ Moore?
Yes, and here's why.
Here's insane.
Here's why. Because
that's insanity.
DJ Moore has reached his ceiling and is on a steady decline, whereas Alec Pierce is
not necessarily true.
Is on the upswing, and he's only getting better and better as time goes on. And if we can get him for a couple of years, right, on like a 3-year contract, I think it's going to be the ROI on that trade is going to be spectacular. And I think that we'll see that 3 years from now, looking at what Alec Pierce ends up doing over the next couple of years. I think a lot of people would agree with that.
DJ Moore's 28.
Yeah.
You're talking like he's 30.
He's
28 years old on a 3-year deal.
Yeah. But Alec Pierce is
and more importantly, he's not $30 million a year.
24. So you gotta even like those are.
He's 24 with one good season. You're willing to gamble everything on one good season?
I think we have to make some gambles in Buffalo, and that might be. But I mean, that's obviously not one of them.
It's an insane take. It's just insane.
Fair enough.
You would rather pay a wide receiver quarterback money than trade a second-round pick for a guy that's making like what 27 or something million a year.
Well, like the money part isn't like the big part of my argument here, right? Because
it should be though.
I would obviously want to pay as the smallest amount that we can to get the most amount of great players. So, but just like pure 1-to-1, Alec Pierce, DJ Moore, I'll take Alec Pierce. If we can get, obviously, if we just can't get Alec Pierce because he's way too much money, then obviously no, I'm not gonna be.
It's not whether or not you'll be able to get Alec Pierce. It's the fact that paying Alec Pierce that much money, paying any player that much money, definitively hinders you from building a roster around that.
Sure. I don't disagree with that.
He's also never been a number one option in any offense he's ever been in.
I think he will be. I think he's there. He's
right. You could say he will be, but he hasn't been, is what I'm saying. I think you could say he will be. That's all projection.
I think he already was in the last couple games. So of the season.
A couple of games is different from a full season.
That's sure. But he's going to be number one going into next season.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, and this is a little spoiler for a show that we're going to do down the line, I'm sure, but I am fading Alec Pierce this year. Like, I've moved off of him in all of my dynasty stocks. Like,
yeah.
Re-signing Daniel Jones for almost $50 million a year, coming off of a torn Achilles, is just an insane move. Like, I don't think anybody is going to be is super high on the Colts going into next year. That's true. And they shouldn't be, but
no.
Keep things moving a little bit. We got off track a little bit there, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in winning the division next year?
Like a 6 right now.
Very reasonable.
Because we've seen a couple moves already from Buffalo, them changing their coaching staff, them getting players like DJ Moore, but we haven't seen any of the fruits of that yet. So we lost our division this year. That shouldn't have happened. Will we lose it again, even though it shouldn't happen? Yeah, we might. So I'm not like overly confident that we're going to win our division next year.
That's 100% valid. What would it take for DJ Moore to impress you?
I think prove that to me that he is that not just wide receiver one, but that elite wide receiver one. That would impress me.
1,400 yards like 2 years ago, by the way.
Yeah, but I think DJ Moore. I'm not saying that this man has to scale like the Great Wall of China to impress me or anything. I think he can. I think he can reasonably impress me by the end of the season if he just if he shows to be a great wide receiver one for us and gets us to the Super Bowl where we want to go. Obviously,
so
I don't even need him to get us to the Super Bowl. To be honest,
I was gonna say,
yeah,
I was gonna say,
you can't put that on one single player. That's not fair. But yeah, I think it won't be impossible for him to impress me. But I just want to see him be that wide receiver
so
one.
what does that look like being the wide receiver one? Because he is the wide receiver one.
Yeah, well, he obviously is
Right.
going to be the wide receiver one. What does that look like, though?
I would go so far as to say he's already the best wide receiver in the AFC North.
Yeah, that's
or the AFC East, not the AFC North.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Thinking about who
he's better than Garrett Wilson.
The other options
he's better than Jalen Waddle.
Yeah,
he's better than anything the Patriots have.
Yeah, which is nothing, right? Well, they have Dobbs now, but again, I think he's probably better than Dobbs.
Dobbs is whatever. Dobbs is not even.
I don't think he's a wide receiver one, Dobbs. So yeah,
he's a mid-range wide receiver two, in my opinion. That's getting severely overpaid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What he needs to do is he needs to catch those passes that the other guys didn't this year that disappointed me. Those throws by Josh Allen that are tough ones to catch, but they can win us games if they're caught. I need to see him catch those tough passes. That's what I need to see. And I need to see it happen with a high enough frequency that like he's reliable at that. I think that's what I need to see from him.
I see.
To be impressed. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, that's absolutely reasonable. It's just, yeah. I can't believe how low you are on him, but you haven't watched him for 4 years and be absolutely incredible. So, final question.
Okay.
Well, second to last question. Do you expect the Joe Brady regime to actually push the Bills over the top?
I am torn on that, I think. I would say I don't necessarily expect that, but I've seen some good things out of him so far. And he's the guy that Josh Allen wanted. So I like that. I like that that was Josh Allen's choice. So they work well together. So we aren't going to need to, that's not going to be a growing pain. So those two working together. Though perhaps sometimes that can be a good thing that we've seen with Caleb and Ben Johnson, but it's not always a good thing. So I like that we have that there already. So I like what's happening here. I like our defensive coordinator.
Jim Leonard.
Yes, Leonard, who comes from the Broncos, and he did some good work over there with Sean Payton. Broncos are a great team. I'm glad to have somebody from that organization on our staff now. So I feel really good about our defensive coordinator. So I expect them to excel. I don't necessarily expect that. But I think that I'm at the point where I think it's more likely than not that they'll do well.
But do you think they'll get over the top? Do you think they can climb the mountain?
Do I think they can climb the mountain?
Can they do the thing and win the Super Bowl?
I haven't seen any evidence that they can yet, no. But I want to be able to say yes.
Yeah, I can tell you want to so bad.
But I can't yet. I can't. No. Yeah.
That's absolutely reasonable. And hey, you never know. Maybe you'll come out of the draft looking like absolute geniuses and what have you. But my final question for you, Alex.
Okay.
What is one player on the Buffalo Bills that went underappreciated this season?
Tyler Shavers.
I love Tyrell Shavers
yeah,
so much. That's
yeah,
my kind of wide
yeah,
receiver right there.
yeah. So I don't think he's gonna be making any of those crazy catches.
I don't know if he'd
That
be good to go for week 1.
that's another thing that like JSN or Puka could do. But what he does great at is running those routes, blocking,
Oh
like
yeah, puts guys in the dirt.
yes, and he is not shy about it, and like that is so helpful to open up spots for DJ Moore to catch stuff from Josh Allen. So I love Tyler Shavers. I think he has been a great player. I think he's underutilized and undervalued in Buffalo, and I want to see him get more snaps in Buffalo. And so I think he's an underappreciated player for sure in Buffalo. I think because I'm so high on Dawson Knox, I think you might also make an argument that Dawson Knox is underappreciated in Buffalo.
Yep.
I don't know that necessarily he's been getting the accolades that he deserves, especially like that Patriots game. He was the clutch factor there. The reason why we won, he got 2 touchdowns almost in a row in the second half during the Patriots game. So those are the 2 for me that I'd say that go underappreciated in Buffalo.
Awesome. Well, Alex, always great to talk to you, my man. Great show. So much fun here. Everybody, if you're still watching, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. What do you think about the Bills season? How do you feel about them going forward? What was the favorite moment you had, or what's something that you really think they could do in this offseason that would really get you pumped? How do you feel about the DJ Moore trade? Let us know. We're just so pumped for going forward. Look out for a NFL Combine for Dummies coming out soon, a free agency recap coming out soon as we gear up for the NFL draft as we come out of this free agency period in this absolutely insane time that we're going through right now. It is always blessed to have you guys. See y'all later.
See ya.